pratyag aksham. Vanam gatastapasya pratyag aksham. Vanam gatastapasa pratyag aksham. Aradhya labe murdini padam trilokaya. Aradhya lebhe murdini padma trilokaya. Aradhya lebe mridani padam trilokaya. Ya panchavarsho jananim tvam vihaya. Matu sapatnaya vachasa binnamarmam. Vanam gatastapasa pratyak aksham. Aradhya lebe mridani padam trilokayam. Varsho janani vihaya. Trilokya. Ya panchavarsham jananim tvam vihaya. Matu sapatnya vachasa binnamarmam. Vanam gatas tapasa pratyak aksham. Aradhya lebe mridani padam trilokyam. Ya panchavarsho jananim tvam vihaya. Any Mataji's want to repeat? Yaha, one who, Panchavarshaha, 5 years old, Jananim, mother, Tvam, Vihaya, leaving aside, Matuhu, of the mother, Sapatneyaha, of the co-wife, Vachasa, by the words, Binna Marma, aggrieved at heart, Vanam, to the forest, Gataha, went, Tapasa, by austerity, Pratyak Aksham, the Supreme Lord, Aradhya, worshipping, Lebe, achieved, Murdini, on the top, Padam, the position, Trilokayam, of the 3 worlds. Translation: and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. My dear Dhruva, at the age of only 5 years, you were very grievously afflicted by the words of your mother's co-wife. And you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in the yogic process for realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in all the three worlds. Please repeat after me. My dear Dhruva, at the age of only 5 years, you are very grievously afflicted by the words of your mother's co-wife, and you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in the yogic process for realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in all the three worlds. Purport. Manu was very proud that Dhruva Maharaj was one of the descendants in his family. Because of only 5 years, Dhruva began meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And within 6 months, he was able to see the Sanskrit word of man is Manushya, which means descendant of Manu. Not only is Dhruva Maharaj the glory of the family of Swayambhava Manu, but he is the glory of the entire human society. Because Dhruva Maharaj had already surrendered to the Supreme Godhead, he was especially requested not to do anything unbefitting a surrendered soul. Om Ajnanathmirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Shakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuddha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Cha Kalpat Patamaham. Welcome to this morning's Bhagavatam class. Continue Dhruva Maharaj. In Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, Arjuna gives a reason. One of the reasons he doesn't want to fight because he didn't want to kill men. When there is no men around, women becomes polluted, and because of that, there will be unwanted progeny. And one of the reasons he says this unwanted progeny would not be able to offer oblations to the forefathers. So the forefathers will be stuck in whatever condition they are in. They can't be liberated. So he gives one of those reasons, that if I kill people and the children won't be able to perform the Shraddha ceremony. I can't offer a pinda for the Pitrus. So he gives one of the reasons. So the descendants of a family are very important. From the first chapter we can see, they offer pinda, and through that process they liberate their forefathers who, for some reasons, would have ended up in any hellish condition or in any lower forms of life. Similarly, when a devotee is born in a family, when a person takes up devotional service and perfects himself, when he becomes a pure devotee, it is mentioned in different places. It's mentioned different span. It says your 14 generations are liberated. It says 14 generations in some places. In Prahlad Maharaj's case, it says 21 generations are liberated. In some cases, it says 10 generations are liberated. So when a person takes up devotional service, his ancestors or his future progeny, they get automatically liberated. It's a privilege what Krishna gives for his pure devotees. When a person takes up devotional service, practices it, automatically it liberates the previous generations. So here, Dhruva Maharaj is become an extraordinary devotee. He became the pure devotee of the Lord. He performed various austerities. Through those austerities, he was able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead eye to eye, which is not very common. What Dhruva Maharaj has done, all the generations, 14 generations before Manu and 14 generations after Manu are liberated. If you take 14 as a number. Even here, Manu's case, Manu is the first human being after Brahma. So, Brahma's great-grandson. So, Dhruva Maharaj has liberated just by him becoming, just one person becoming his pure devotee. So, that is the importance of one taking up devotional service. It liberates even your forefathers and the future generations. That's why in a cultured society where Varnashram Dharma is practiced, the Garbhadana Samskara is very important. So one invites a particular purified soul to take birth in the family. So a Garbhadana Samskara is performed. Okay, let's move on from there. Here we can see Dhruva Maharaj was only 5 years of age, and at 5 years, generally children are very attached to their mother or their family. They're not going to give up their family and then go to forest. But you can see here, Dhruva Maharaj was in a very tender age, gave up the protection of the mother. The way the world is turning out, the economy is so bad, children doesn't want to even move out in their 20s nowadays because they just can't afford outside. They can't, rent. The rental property is very expensive. So people tend to stay at home. One of the major concerns of the Western society, because Western society, as soon as the children are 16, 18, they want to kick them out. And then the parents want to, travel and enjoy. But now the kids don't want to go out. They want to stay. And especially if they want to go to university or something, they can't afford living outside. So that's in the 20s. And the way it is going, I don't think so even 30s kids want to move out anymore. At what age you moved out? You moved back. So that is the dire situation nowadays. Imagine a little prince brought up in so much opulence and the affection of mother, decided to leave those opulences and protection of mother and go to the forest, because Kshatriyas are quite different to others. They are very different. It's hard for us to understand because there's not much Kshatriyas left anymore. How they think, how they work, it's hard for us to comprehend, because we pretty much killed all the Kshatriyas or got rid of them. But you can see the Kshatriyas, even at the very young age, have a very strong resolute, and they're very proud. They're very proud, and they can't take even little humiliation, very slight humiliation. here, a little boy was, 5-year-old boy was humiliated by his stepmother and told them that you are not qualified to sit in your father's lap, and you're not qualified to become the heir through the throne. And a little boy got so offended. He got so offended that he went to his mother, poured his heart out, and the mother said, look, if you want to change this, you have to go to the forest and seek out Vishnu. And he took that instruction and immediately walked out, to the deep forest. It said he went to the banks of Jamuna. Banks of Jamuna. Even now, if you go to Vrindavan, it's quite, Govardhan. In recent years, it's becoming all facilities. But even when I went to Vrindavan, 22 years now ago, first time when I went Govardhan, people won't do parikrama at night. They were scared. It was a scary place. Even now, and imagine then, in Satyayuga, it was just forest. Vraja is considered, Vrindavan is considered to be forest area. But Dhruva Maharaj went to that forest and performed extreme austerities. So the Kshatriyas are a whole different bunch. You can see historically Kshatriyas can do unprecedented activities just to establish their pride. Worst case scenarios like Aurangzeb in India. Anybody heard of Aurangzeb? What did he do? Anybody knows what he did? Well, that's later. What did he do initially? Kill his brothers. He killed his elder brothers. He had 2 elder brothers. He killed them both. Yeah, he killed them. I don't know the names. He killed both the brothers, and he imprisoned his own father. Not just imprisoned, he made his life so miserable that he left a window to see all the frivolous things he is doing. So the father can see how Aurangzeb is exploiting his father's hard-earned kingdom. He left the window. He kept him at home arrest. And his son, Bahadur Shah, if I remember, he wanted to kill Aurangzeb to take his kingdom from him. And he also killed his brothers. So you can see how Kshatriyas go to extremes just to rule. Even in Mahabharata, we can see Kamsa doing similar things. Kamsa imprisoned his own father. His father was a righteous man. He imprisoned his own father. Not only he imprisoned his own father, he imprisoned his own mother because she gave him good advice. He said, go and seek forgiveness, your father, and he imprisoned her too. And he imprisoned his close friend, very close friend who he grew up with, which is Vasudeva, and was prepared to kill his good friend's wife, Devaki. So the Kshatriyas are very strong and passionate people, and they will go to any length to establish their power, to conquer the whole of Mahabharata. Duryodhan was humiliated by Draupadi. I mean, he fell down, she laughed, so he got so offended. People fall down, you slip, you fall down, and people sometimes, laugh at you. But he was so upset. He was so upset that he completely wanted to bring down. He wanted to humiliate his own brother's wife. So Kshatriyas are very strange. At the same time, they can be very compassionate. On one hand, they can be very harsh. On the other hand, equally, they are very compassionate. Some righteous rulers like Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj is considered very compassionate, very sober. But just because he couldn't have a little piece of kingdom to rule, he declared war and killed, 70-80% of the world population, just to establish that he is the emperor, and he took over the whole world. So the Kshatriyas have very strong, resolute. So similarly, Dhruva Maharaj, being a Kshatriya, you can see from a very young age, he has that strong resolute. And when the Yakshas killed his brother, he rightfully got angry. And he waged war against the Yakshas. But at one point you can see that he went overdrive. He started out with the right motive, that he has to kill the person who has killed his brother. As a king, he has to give rightful punishment. But at one point he went overboard. He couldn't control himself. His anger took over him, and he started slaughtering Yakshas indifferently. And then Manu has to come and calm him down. So you can, this is the way the Kshatriyas behave. It's quite ironic. And going back here, Dhruva, even though he met the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he went out to achieve material opulence. His motive was to achieve material opulence. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvida bhajate mam, jana sakritina arjuna, artha jigyasu arthati, jnaninas tattvadarshibhi. There are 4 kinds of people who approach the Supreme Lord. And he says they are good. Those 4 kinds of people are okay. And so here, Dhruva Maharaj, even though he started out not for any pure devotional motives, he started out as artharthi, looking for wealth and kingdom. But since he approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even any material desires he had was purified by taking the darshan of the Lord. When the Lord appeared before him, his material desires got purified. And what he says, I've been worshipping you for glass beads. I went through all this penances and austerity looking for glass beads, when the real wealth is devotional service to you. So that's his realization. So he's an advanced person. But you can see, in spite of being advanced, he gets distracted. In spite of seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dhruva Maharaj gets distracted because the mode of passion is very strong. So Dhruva Maharaj is quoted as an example of one who performs devotional service tinged with mode of passion. There is Daksha, who performs devotional service. Daksha is given as an example for somebody who performs devotional service in the mode of ignorance. And Prithu Maharaj is given as an example of one who performs in the mode of goodness. So you can see in Prithu Maharaj's story, when Indra kidnaps the... Is that story? No, I'm mixing up. No, is it even Prithu Maharaj? The story, something like that happens. No, it's Prachina Bharati's story. Anyone? Prithu Maharaj, isn't it? And also he does the same thing with Prachina Bharati too. So, but he doesn't get agitated. He doesn't lose it and start killing killing Indra or not. Even though Prithu Maharaj is a empowered personality, in certain times he does exhibit his anger. He exhibits anger towards Mother Earth. Mother Earth is not producing, so he gets angry, and he threatens to kill her, and he plows the field. But it is done in mode of goodness. He is not done out of passion. But here, Dhruva Maharaj has a little bit of passion in him. His devotional service was mixed with passion. He went out looking for artha. There's a contamination of passion. And in spite of seeing the Lord, that passion is dormant. And when there's an opportunity came up, the passion came out, and Manu has to come and pacify Dhruva Maharaj, So the lesson for us is, as devotees, when we come to devotional service, we have to be constantly in check of our modes of nature. We have to constantly be considerate, that we can also be easily be carried away. What is that in second chapter? Krishna says, like a wind can easily distract a ship from its course. Similarly, even one sense being distracted can distract you from your goal. So one has to be people taking up devotion service, following through devotion service, could see here even a great personality like Dhruva Maharaj can be distracted. So we have to be careful in controlling the three modes of material nature. The other point to make here is, we already established Dhruva Maharaj is not an ordinary person. So Bhagavad Gita again, yad yad acharito sheshta tat tat evataro janaha saye pramana kurute lokastad anuvartate. So whatever a great personality does, the common man follows. So so here Dhruva Maharaj becoming angry and go on slaughtering yakshas is not a good example. So here it says, specially requested not to do anything unbefitting being a surrendered soul. He is a surrendered soul, and if he is acting in a way which is not befitting, then it will become a precedence for common man. Any other king will say, okay, my family got injured, so I'm going to go and destroy, forgetting all the basic philosophy. Well, you can see Prahalanda Maharaj, on the other hand. Prahalanda Maharaj is a pure devotee, and his devotion is not contaminated by any modes. His father gets killed by Indra. It's not his father. His father gets killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His son also gets killed by Indra. But Prahalanda Maharaj is not offended. Prahalanda Maharaj. So Indra thinks, Prahalanda Maharaj's son takes up devotion service, starts performing austerity. Indra immediately is envious, thinking, this again I have to put up with another Asuric child performing austerity, competing to my throne. So he preemptively kills him, Prahalada Maharaj's son. But Prahalada Maharaj doesn't take offense. He understands the nature of the soul. The whole second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, na jayate muriteva kadachinayam bhutva bhavita ajo nityam shashvatayam puranam anyate hanyam anin sharire. He understands that Indra just killed the external body, not the spirit soul. But you can see Dhruva Maharaj was given Divya Gyan by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by Lord touching the Panchajanya on the forehead of Dhruva. So he knew all this knowledge. This knowledge was installed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Dhruva. But in spite of that, he has a tendency to slightly deviate. So one has to slightly deviate. So by deviating, it becomes a bad example. It becomes a bad example. So Manu corrects him. So we devotees also has to, the lesson is, once you take up devotion service, or take up positions which are setting as an example to others, one has to be careful how they deal with the modes of nature. Say for example, if the temple president doesn't come to Mangalarti, the congregation, somebody senior, doesn't follow the regulative principles strictly, the disciples and the followers will say, why should I? Or people who, who live a ascetic life, put on devotional clothes, starts acting improperly, and people say, oh, even devotees do it, so why can't we do it? So one has to be careful. As soon as you start setting example or take up positions which are which people look up to you, one has to be extra careful, because it sets a bad example. Yet, so whatever Shrestha, yet Acharito Shrestha, whatever practices elevated person does, the common people tend to follow. So one has to be, one taking up devotion service, one taking up leadership roles, must be very careful. That's why here, when Dhruva Maharaj got distracted, Manu makes an effort to come and control Dhruva Maharaj, and he says here that especially you are a surrendered soul. And as a surrendered soul, it is not befitting for you to engage in activities. Yes, he is surrendered soul, as we discussed before, that the modes of nature are not very easy to control. They do overpower people. They do. Yet, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. No, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma, Shashvat Chanti Nigachati Kaunteya Pratijanehi Name Bhakta Pranayashati. So, just because a pure devotee sometimes slightly deviates, one should not, we should have a positive outlook and try to learn from it, because Krishna sometimes induces his pure devotees in actions which might look deviated. Say for example, Dhruva Maharaj here, other example is you can see Arjuna. Arjuna just got Bhagavad Gita spoken to him few days before, but as soon as his son gets killed, Abhimanyu gets killed, he gets angry. And he not only gets angry, he makes a declaration that tomorrow I'm going to kill Jayadratha. If I don't kill him, I'm going to kill myself. He completely lost it. He's completely lost when his son gets killed. And just few days ago, he was in resolute. Say, what was the last verse of Bhagavad Gita? Whatever you say is the last second verse. Whatever you say is the instruction I'm going to follow. It's all well and good, but just in few days later, within few days, and is completely overwhelmed. So Krishna sometimes induces his pure devotees to set an example that this is possible for even person like Dhruva Maharaj, this is possible for a person like Arjuna. But one has to be careful. One has to be careful in giving into the anger, giving into the sorrow, and forgetting the prime philosophy, the basic philosophy. So, so these are the points covered here. Dhruva Maharaj, a great personality, has the qualities of a Kshatriya. and due to his strong resolute, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead within 6 months, and and since his devotional service was tinged with a little bit of passion, he got distracted, and he started killing yakshas. Manu came and rescued him, and put him in right path. Thinking about it, once we follow devotional service, sometimes we become how do I put it? We think we know everything, and we tend to act quite independent. You read the scriptures, you're following the rules. Even for it might sound like you're doing the right thing, but you become omnipotent. Is that the word? Omnipotent. You think you know everything. You know everything. You're doing, especially when you're young and passionate. You got to do this. You got to do that. So you think you're omnipotent. But it's nice that in spite of you becoming a pure devotee, you being a pure devotee like Dhruva Maharaj, it's still nice to listen to people who are superior, to people who are superior, and correct your course. Correct your course. When Dhruva Maharaj was killing yakshas, he didn't have a second thought that he was doing anything wrong. His thing is, revenge as a Kshatriya, kill my brother, I have to teach a lesson, I have to set an example, I have to kill as a Kshatriya. It sounded all right, according to Dhruva Maharaj's thought process. But as soon as Swayam Manu interrupted, and he reset the course, and look, no, what you're doing is not right. Dhruva Maharaj could have turned around and said, hey, I saw the Supreme Lord. You didn't. I can do what, I'm doing the right thing. He didn't argue back. He was submissive, which is a wonderful quality for Dhruva Maharaj, and a wonderful quality what devotees should have, especially young devotees. Young, old devotees should have that quality. So when a right instruction is given, one has to incorporate it. One has to incorporate the right instruction, because these instructions given by it's through the agency of the Supreme Lord. The Manu was sent there through the agency of the Supreme Lord, and any right advice to correct our course is the Supreme Lord himself helping the devotees for our own benefit. So Dhruva Maharaj also exhibited this wonderful quality of being submissive and listening to the instructions of his elders. Mind you, he was the emperor of the whole world. He saw the Supreme Lord. He was undefeatable. And his destiny was already locked in. It says, you've seen the Lord, you're the top, you achieved the topmost position in the world. He is going back to Godhead. All these things is already guaranteed. So in spite of that, all those credentials, Dhruva Maharaj was submissive to hear from his superior. It's a great quality. It's a great quality. It's a quality which we should appreciate and take lessons. I'll stop here. Any questions, comments? Is it? Don't use the smartphones. Simple as that. We survived without smartphones, and we could survive. Of course, we are dependent on the society, so use it as required, minimal. Yeah, well, Prabhupada didn't want us to lead, I mean, the lives what we lead. He wanted us to have a more sattvic lifestyle. He didn't want devotees to be more focused on the city life. City life means you need to have mobile phones, you need to have your computers, you need to have the cars, and everything comes with it. But if you have a more sattvic life, like you can't say you are leading a sattvic life living in cities. There is no sattvic life in cities. There may be a little bit. There is no sattvic life in cities. As soon as you live in the city, there is no sattvic life. It's always an ongoing swimming against the stream. You keep every day you have to clean yourself. So ideally, devotees should be leading sattvic life. It means sattvic life. What is that? City means passion. City means passion and ignorance. No, something like big cities means ignorance. Village means passion. Village means passion. Cities means ignorance. And forest means goodness. Forest means goodness. So we are living in ignorance. Forget about passion. Living in ignorance. So devotees should plan their lifestyle more towards village or forest life. Not vanaprastha. I'm not talking about vanaprastha. I'm thinking even grahasthas, young children you're bringing up. It's more. But we, as a society, by and large, we never really worked on it. We are trying to, what is that? Ignore elephant in the room? What is that? Something like that? What is that saying? Yeah, we all know that, but we're all trying to avoid it. What is expected from us, from Prabhupada, is very simple. Just farm life, leading sattvic life. Then all these questions, mobile phone and this, it's going to be there because you voluntarily signed up your life for it. There's no silver bullet for it. It is what it is, and you have to be on top of it. If you want a peaceful life, according to Prabhupada, go to farms and live in a agrarian-based society. Any other questions, comments, corrections? No? Okay. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nitai Go Premanande. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatra vrusha kripa sindhu vyavasya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Sorry, what? Yes. I'm just putting it away.